Okay, on to the next one, which is Ju-on the Grudge. Not to be confused with just the Grudge. We are still at the Japanese versions of the story. And this one is weird. I'm not sure if I really enjoy those. Um, it it is kind of a soft reboot, but not really. Like it's we follow different people, but still like somehow connected to the Saeki house. Um, so the first movie is kind of the same plot that Ju-on the Curse, um, which is just some people move to the house and then they get killed. Um, and Kayako is still there. And now there is this other ghost. So Kayako is now a dark ghost, and there is this other um, white lady ghost that we don't really know who she is, but we assume to be Kayako, because like it looks like Kayako from Ju-on the Curse, but it's not. We discovered that at the end of this movie, and it's the this movie is also the one to introduce time bending stuff. Like the previous movie didn't have this, but from Ju-on the Grudge forward, the Curse is able to manipulate time and space. And it got introduced in this one movie, Ju-on the Grudge 1. And this kind of plays a bigger role on the movie. And I kind of liked it. The idea is that the ghost, the woman which the ghost belongs to, she only dies at the ending of the movie. But the curse is so strong that her ghost is able to move back in time, and kill people, before the woman actually dies, before the woman that is turned into a ghost actually dies, which is Rika, her name. So like Rika is still alive, she gets cursed, she goes into the house, she gets cursed, and she's still alive. But then her ghost is present and is killing a bunch of people. And then only at the end of the movie, that she gets killed. Which is interesting. I kind of like that. I feel like there is some weird stuff that would require more explanation to it, though. Like, Rika's ghost is killing a bunch of people, except Rika. And I would like to have a better explanation to it. Maybe she was just like trying to warn Rika, or maybe like it's herself, so she doesn't want to kill herself. Meanwhile, with other people, she's like, yeah, screw it, you're gonna die. You entered the house, so now you're gonna die. But I would like to see more development on that. And Rika actually gets killed by Kayako's husband, which I forgot the name. I think it's Takeshi. But anyway, his ghost is the one that shows up at the end of the movie and kills Rika, turning her into a ghost, and then her ghost being so powerful, because the curse is so powerful, her ghost is able to travel back in time. And then at the end of the movie, there is a scene that shows the streets of Japan completely empty, which kind of gives the idea that the curse was able to escape the house, because every person that gets into the house gets cursed and they will die. And then when they die, the place that they died will also become cursed. So the curse is like a world ending type of event, because eventually people will, eventually the curse will reach every place on the world, because of how people get cursed. They move to other places and then die on those places, making them cursed. So it is a good movie. Not as good as Ju-on the Curse, but I kind of like it. My problem with this franchise starts from Ju-on the Grudge 2 forward. At least like the movies that I watched so far. And that movie is full of issues. So first of all, every movie so far was out of order. Every movie was told out of order, and there was reasons for that. With the exception of Ju-on the Curse 2, which was not told out of order, and there is also a reason for that. So if we go back to Ju-on the Curse, the movie is told out of order because it wants to keep up the mystery. So you start the movie. So when I mention story, I'm talking about the chronological events. When I mention story, I'm talking about the chronological order of events. When I mention movie, I'm talking about how the movie was edited and the order that the events are shown in the movie. So, first movie, Ju-on the Curse, is told out of order, and there is a reason, which is to keep up the mystery, is to keep you invested in discovering what's going on. So at the beginning of the story, Toshio gets killed and Kayako gets killed. Then the house gets cursed and everyone that enters the house will die. And then we see people entering the house and getting killed. That's the story. But the movie shows first Toshio, and we see that he seems to be alive, but there is something wrong with him. And then like at the end of his chapter, he starts to make some weird noises and his face starts to shift. We don't see it clearly because he's in the background and it's blurred, but we can say with confidence that there is something wrong with Toshio. And then we start to see people, there is a kind of a time skip, and we start to see people getting into the house and getting killed by this white lady. And now we have a mystery. First, where is Toshio? What happened to Toshio? Is he dead? How he died? And the same for Kayako. Who is this white lady? Is she dead? How did she die? Why is she killing people? What happened to the guy or whoever killed her? And that's the mystery. And we only get to know the reasons why Kayako is killing people on the ending of the movie. Because on the ending of the movie is when they show the beginning of the story, is when they show Kayako being murdered, and the curse actually being born. So that's the first movie, and that's the reason why it's told out of order. When we go to Ju-on the Curse 2, the movie is not out of order because there is no mystery anymore. You already know who Toshio and Kayako are, you already know who killed them, you already know why they got killed. So you have a clear understanding of the curse. And the second movie is just tying up some loose ends. We are just seeing some people that enter the house being killed. People that didn't got showed getting killed on the previous movie. So it's just like tying some loose ends, as I said. So there is no reason for the movie to be out of order, and the movie is not. And At least I didn't perceive it being out of order. Like, if there is something in the wrong place, it's like it didn't impact it that much. Then we go to Ju-on the Grudge. Again, not to be confused with just the Grudge. Ju-on the Grudge 1 is also told out of order because there is a mystery in there, which is who is the new white lady? Who is this new ghost? Which, if you watch it for the first time, you're gonna think it's Kayako. And that's the mystery. And then only at the ending of the story and at the ending of the movie that we discover that it's actually Rika. And also there is the introduction of the time bending stuff. So the ghost of Rika, even though she's killed at the ending of the story, her ghost goes back in time to the beginning of the story. So there is the time bending stuff, which justifies the movie being told out of order. When we get to Ju-on the Grudge 2, there is no reason for that. Besides, well, most movies so far were told out of order, so this one, let's do it out of order too. And I don't think that's a strong enough reason. And it just end up confusing the people watching the movie. So anyway, what's the story? The story is just some people work with horror media and they want to record inside the Saiki house. So they go to the house, they get cursed, and they will die. And then there is a baby subplot, which is kind of the mystery of the story. One of the women that get into the house is pregnant of a boy. She is expecting a boy. When she leaves the house, she suffers an accident and she is told that she lost the baby. But then we see Toshio, he shows up and he touches the belly of this woman and then something happens. And this woman goes to a doctor and the doctor says that her baby is fine, is healthy, and like she's gonna have the baby. And he also says that the baby is a girl, which is weird because we were told that she was expecting a boy. But anyway, and then the movie continues, and then at the ending of the movie, this woman gives birth to Kayako. There is some details in there, but about reincarnation or time travel, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, so the woman was expecting a boy. The baby boy dies. Toshio touches her belly, which kind of revives her baby, but now it's a girl. And then at the end of the movie, we discover it's Kayako. And the issue is that, how do I explain this? Toshio touches her belly at the beginning. Toshio touches her belly at the beginning of the story. And also, he touches her belly at the beginning of the movie. Then later on, Kayako is born from this woman. And Kayako is born also at the ending of the story and also at the ending of the movie. So if the movie is told on chronological order, the mystery is still there. The mystery of what's the baby, why the baby changed its gender, how did the baby got revived, because the other doctor said that she lost the baby. So if the movie is told in chronological order, the mystery is still there. So I don't see a reason for the movie to be told out of order, because it won't change anything. It will just make it harder for you to comprehend the story, which is not needed. But anyway, I don't know. That's just like my opinion on it. And I don't know, the movie just being told out of order was something that I just didn't like it. Because as I explained it, I didn't saw much reason. The mystery still holds up. If you tell the movie in chronological order or in whatever order you want to tell. But anyway, and then there is of course some weird stuff like, okay, so Kayako was born again. You can understand that either as a reincarnation, which I don't like. I don't like this explanation, but it's the one that I saw most people repeating, which is the girl that we see at the ending of the movie is the reincarnation of Kayako. And the reason why Japan is empty in the ending of the previous movie is because Kayako is now free to roam around the country. She's not like bound to the house, so she can spread the course more easy. And I just don't like that interpretation because we never see Kayako being banished. Banished? I think that's the correct word. We never see Kayako's spirit passing to the other side. We never see Kayako's spirit being exorcised. We never see. Great. When I'm talking about Juon, I start to hear weird noises coming from the roof. But anyway, we never see Kayako's spirit, quote unquote, dying. So I don't see a reason for the reincarnation. It's, I don't know, it's weird. The interpretation that I most like is that since the previous movie already established that the curse is so powerful that it can move through time, I prefer to understand that Kayako somehow sent the curse back in time and she cursed her mother, like the pregnant woman that we see that was gonna give birth to a boy, is actually Kayako's mother. And it's kind of like you go back in time and kill. It's like a paradox, like if you go back in time and you kill your grandfather. So if you kill your grandfather, you're not gonna be born. Like your grandfather is not, your father is not gonna be born, and then you are not gonna be born. So if you're not gonna be born, no one's gonna go back in time to kill your grandfather. So your father is gonna be born, and you are gonna be born, and so you can go back in time. So it's kind of the same idea that like I was thinking about. It's just like the woman that becomes Kayako's mother was not gonna be Kayako's mother, was gonna be a mother of a random boy. But then Kayako sends the curse back in time and she curses this woman, which then Toshio, then the woman loses her baby and then Toshio revives the baby but revives as Kayako. And then now Kayako is gonna be born, she's gonna marry the guy that she married, which I still couldn't remember the name, so I'm gonna use Takeshi again. So she marries Takeshi, she has Toshio, she gets in love with Kobayashi, Takeshi discovers, kills Toshio and Kayako, which gives origin to the curse, and then Kayako kills a bunch of people, then sends the curse back in time again. And I feel like that's, I don't know, I feel like this is a better explanation than the reincarnation. Because as I said, we never see Kayako's spirits being banished, so why is she reincarnating? Like, is there now two Kayakos? There is Kayako's spirit and there is Kayako as a kid? is like the same spirit, is the same vengeful spirit, because Kayako as a kid is killing people. So we can only assume that is the same vengeful spirit. But we never see the original vengeful spirit being exorcised. And then they just they just uh, they just not start, they just introduce the reincarnation out of nowhere, and they also don't explain that well. So I prefer to use the time bending explanation that got introduced in the previous movie to explain what's going on in this one. And then the reason why Japan is empty is just because of the natural progression of the course. People that gets killed by Kayako or whatever vengeful spirit, well, the people will get cursed and then move to another place and then die, get killed by the vengeful spirit, and then this new place is gonna be cursed. So it's like an exponential curse. I think that's the correct terminology, but I'm not sure. Where like with passing time, more and more people will get cursed, which will then increase the curse and then snowball it. And that's the reason why Japan is empty. Which again is an explanation that we already had. Like that gets explained from the very first movie. Instead of like, oh, now it's Kayako as a kid that is roaming free and it's spreading the curse by herself. But anyway, this is one of the weakest movies from this franchise. And I really didn't enjoy it at all. Like, there is the fact it's told out of order without the story actually requiring it to be out of order, and there is also the westernization of Ju-on, which started a couple movies back. I think it started on Ju-on the Course True, but on this movie is like they cranked it way higher. And what I mean by the westernization of Ju-on is like the use of excessive jump scares. Like if you watch Ju-on the Course, I don't think there is any jump scare in that movie at all. It's more like, for the lack of a better word, is a more introspective movie. And most of the deaths happens out of screen. We don't even see a proper confrontation between the living and the dead. It's just like, for most part of it, the living see the ghosts and then they die, usually off screen. And then Ju-on the Course 2 introduced a few jump scares and a few actual confrontation between the living and the dead. But it's not enough to actually bother me. Meanwhile, well, and then the same happens with Ju-on the Grudge, and then Ju-on the Grudge 2. It's where I got tired of it. It's where they started to abuse jump scares. And I don't know. I feel like that's a cheap trick. I feel like you don't need that to make a scary movie. And Ju-on the Course proves that. It does not have these cheap tricks and it's still a scary movie. But anyway, that was Ju-on the Grudge. I'm gonna make the rest of the videos now. Because I watched a bunch of those I watched a bunch of those movies. And we have a lot more to go. I'll try to like not schedule every single video of Ju-on to be posted right after the other, because I tried doing that with Star Wars and I didn't like the result, because there is like 12 Star Wars videos one after the other. So I'm gonna try to space everything further apart. It's gonna be weird to hear this now because I think I'm gonna schedule another video before this one. It just happens that this one is the first one that I recorded. Um, so yeah, I'm recording everything out of order. Just like the movies, I guess. But there is an explanation to that, which is I want to rewatch Ju-On the Curse before recording the video about Ju-On the Curse. But yeah, that's about it.